Hello, I would like to introduce a poem that resonated with me the most during this semester. The poem is Lines Composed a Few Miles Above Tintern Abbey by William Wordsworth. In this poem, Wordsworth expresses his feelings toward nature. He seeks solace from the pain and weariness of reality by immersing himself in nature or imaging the natural landscapes he had seen in the past. Initially, he regarded nature merely as a shelter from hardship, but over time his attitude evolved. At the end of the poem, he thinks nature as a moral guide of life. The primary reason I chose this poem is that I saw a reflection of myself in Wordsworth's way of turning to nature during difficult times. I, too, often feel the desire to escape to nature when life becomes overwhelming. I currently live in a town that remains much of its rural charm and is still relatively undeveloped. Surrounded by nearby mountains and sea, I often turn to nature when I feel burdened. When I am exhausted from studying, struggling with relationships, or overwhelmed by too many thoughts, I naturally seek shelter in nature. During such times, my father often takes me to the sea even if it's late at night. There, I temporarily escape from the reality that weighs me down. I take deep breaths, feel the wind on my face, and watch the waves. Regarding Wordsworth's poem, I strongly related to the way he found healing and comfort through nature. This connection is what made the poem so special to me. Another part of the poem that deeply resonated with me is when Wordsworth says,
"These beauteous forms, through a long absence, have not been to me as is a landscape to a blind man's eye. But oft in lonely rooms, and mid the din of towns and cities, I have owed to them, in hours of weariness, sensations sweet, felt in the blood, and felt along the heart, and passing even into my purer mind, with tranquil restoration."
These words struck a chord with me, because I have always feared being alone, and even now, that fear lingers. I have never been comfortable with solitude and still struggle with it. There have been times when I stay up late at night, consumed by the fear of being alone in the future. This thought made me depressed and frustrated. However, reading these lines gave me comfort. But Wordsworth's words made me think that I too might find joy in the solace of nature. With this new perspective, the thought of facing life no longer feels as frightening or daunting. As someone who wasn't used to being alone, I realized that doing something alone could bring me new type of joy. Another aspect of the poem that I found compelling was that nature can help us think about our lives. As I mentioned earlier, I have always feared solitude and death. Thought about the inevitable loss of my family or myself often overwhelmed me with a sense of helplessness and fear. However, this poem helped me realize something profound. We, as humans, exist with the cycle of life. Without a single exception, we all die at some point in our lives. And when someone is born, someone else, whom we may not know, passes away. Those who pass away return to nature and provide nourishment for other forms of life. This realization made me see death not as something to be feared, but as a natural part of existence. Thinking this way, death feels less terrifying and more like an inevitable phase of life. Through this poem, I was able to reflect on nature and life itself. It is always fascinating to learn so much from poets who lived and wrote long even before I was born. Wordsworth's lines, composed a few miles above Tintern Abbey, made me appreciate nature even more. I now feel grateful to nature for embracing me with open arms whenever I am struggling. Reflecting on nature has also encouraged me to think about how I should live my life and what life truly means. Although I still have a long way to go and much to learn, I hope to grow and mature by living in harmony with nature, experiencing its wonders and learning from it. I am truly grateful to have had the opportunity to learn this beautiful poem and to my professor for introducing me to it.